Just stand back there. Okay, just turn around and just face it up for me. Have you got anything sharp in there?
In the car park of an Adelaide shopping centre, police are making an extraordinary arrest.
I'm now placing you under arrest for rape.
They've finally caught the man known as the North Adelaide rapist after some frightening sex attacks on young women.
The 56-year-old man's charges include engaging in sexual intercourse without consent and 1 count of assault with intent to commit an offence.
For years, Patrick Mark Perkins eluded police until pioneering forensic work finally tracked him down.
Being one of the worst crimes that could possibly happen to someone, we always want to get these people off the street.
Shay Summers is the detective who helped solve this case years after it'd gone cold.
I conducted a review and just basically went over it from the beginning.
The detective and his team re-examined 7 similar sex crimes going back 8 years. There was DNA evidence in 2 of the cases, victims who were attacked in public within months of each other in 2012.
Even though it was only 2 a.m, it was still a really brazen attack. The offender was sitting on the ledge over there and the victim walked past, and as she's walked past, he's grabbed her from behind and he's dragged her along this pathway back towards this tree where he's thrown her to the ground, but she's managed to fight him off and get away to safety.
DNA samples collected from both crime scenes didn't match any known offenders in the criminal database, so police decided to try something new.
I think it was a really good opportunity to try this technique.
Dr. DAMIEN ABARNO is the forensic scientist behind the rarely used, sophisticated DNA test conducted in this case, a technique known as familial searching.
Normally when we search a DNA database, we're looking for a direct match between the crime scene and someone on the database. So if we don't get a direct match, what we can do is we can also look for, is there someone on the database who is not a direct match, who might be related to the person who left the DNA at the crime scene.
He got a hit list of 100 potential relatives of the North Adelaide rapist.
And we were able to reduce that list to just a single person. So it looked like a father-son relationship as well. And that was the first time we had a lot of really strong evidence that we could then pass on to the police for them to investigate further.
So Patrick...
A familial DNA match between the offender and his son led police to Patrick Perkins.
It felt like a breakthrough moment.
In a police interview at his home, Perkins admits to meeting both victims.
She was drunk. She was coming along. I don't know, she went to get past me or something and we were scuffling.
Far from a confession, the 59-year-old claims one of the attacks was simply a scuffle.
I did not attack her in that regards.
And she's got quite a lot of injuries. Okay, a lot of bruises and grazes and so on. So do you know how that kind of came about?
No, I don't. That's surprising.
Perkins also denies he ever raped his other victim.
It was consensual sex.
Okay. So you're admitting that was you?
Yeah, she asked for sex.
Despite his initial denials, Perkins eventually pleaded guilty to both crimes. The case of the North Adelaide rapist was groundbreaking because it was the first time in Australia an offender was tracked down by matching the DNA they left at a crime scene to a family member's in the criminal database.
Trackdown police say using a controversial type of DNA testing.
In the US, the notorious case of the Golden State Killer has taken familial testing to a whole new level.
Something called familial DNA testing finally helped lead them to that suspect.
Should law enforcement have access to all the databases, certainly it would make our job a lot easier.
It was the genetic sleuthing of Dr. Barbara Ray Venter that helped police catch Joseph D'Angelo after 40 years. She says detectives ran DNA collected from old crime scenes through a public genealogy website. the killer's DNA matched with a whole family tree of distant relatives.
This is an incredibly powerful tool. We're getting some pretty bad people off the street because a lot of the people that we're identifying, they were never on anybody's radar.
I think people may not know that when you send in and do one of those online ancestry tests, while you get back the information about your ancestry, that data also contains a lot of personal information about you. And people may or may not feel comfortable with law enforcement being able to access this kind of information about us.
Genetic scientist Dr. Caitlin Curtis says the Golden State Killer case has raised major ethical and legal concerns around police accessing public genetic databases.
I think that there's a balance between things like privacy and the public good and also surveillance, and I think it's going to be important to really try to get that balance right going forward.
In Australia, police don't yet use these types of sites, but they'd certainly like to.
There are conversations at the moment at multiple different levels in multiple states about, can we do this? Is it legal? Are we happy with the technique?
Familial testing, even within the National Criminal Database, remains restricted to only the most serious and unsolved cases, like the murder of Queensland woman Donna Steele.
Scouring for evidence. Police divers brought in to search for clues.
The 42-year-old's body was found in a croc-infested river in Cooktown in 2017.
The family is absolutely devastated.
Homicide detective David Nicol might still be searching for her killer if not for this special forensic technique.
The familial DNA testing in this instance proved crucial to solving this case.
DNA found on a piece of twine at the crime scene matched a genetic sample of the killer's own mother. The breakthrough resulted in the arrest of 27-year-old Matthew White.
I ended up grabbing this silk scarf instead of the twine and started to strangle her with that.
White confessed to the murder and pleaded guilty.
There's potential for us to do these sort of searches very much earlier in an investigation. If we could do that, we would then save years of police work.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.